Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Gator Gang Network podcast. I am your host, Bobby, and I am joined with my co-hosts, Darryl and Lucas, and also a special guest, Joe, aka Animal. So we got a lot to break down tonight, but before we get started, make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please do that because it will greatly help the podcast. How are you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing
Any
pretty good.
better?
How about you?
Any Bobby?
I'm doing
Thank you
pretty
for
good.
joining me. And as I always like to say, any better than square could be twins. But thank God in life there's just one of me.
Absolutely. Lucas, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself? It's
I'm doing good.
Guacamole week.
I'm ready for the big game. Darryl, I know you are ready for this game this weekend.
This is a big one. This is a family rivalry game, and I am so ready for this. Florida, Georgia, let's do it.
Family.
Yes, I was gonna bring that up because I see your brother is a Georgia fan, so
Huge
I
Georgia
know
fan.
there's a little
Daughter goes.
little
Daughter
Jelly,
goes to
jelly.
Georgia. Started school there for freshman year. Big Georgia fan. We get bets every year, so yeah, it's a big family rivalry. But he's initially a Florida State guy. Don't let him kid you.
Man, that might even be any worse. Who knows? Before we get into this tonight, a big game in Jacksonville. Florida, Georgia really needs no introduction. That is the biggest cocktail, tailgating in the nation, and these two teams hate each other. And really, this game on the Florida end of it don't have the hype that this game should have. If Florida wouldn't have lost to Kentucky and wouldn't have lost to LSU, but when you get into game week, it don't matter what the records are, what the standings are. This game is huge, and it's got a lot of bragging rights, as you said, Darryl. So, the tidbits of this game are forget the past, and win out the rest of the games that we have on the schedule. So, with no further to do, I'm going to get in this insane. Let's get into talking about this game and the Florida offense. What are you expecting from the Florida offense? Joe, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Well, I think first of all, there's been a lot of conversation about whether or not it's going to be Anthony Richardson or it's going to be Emory Jones who's going to start at the quarterback position. I don't think there's any mistake about it. I think it's going to be Anthony Richardson. Make no mistake about it. Brenton Cox came out this week. I think it was Brenton Cox that came out this week. He even stated that he believes that Anthony Richardson is going to be the starting quarterback. But that doesn't mean that Emory Jones is not going to be used. Let's not kid ourselves. They're going to use this two quarterback system, which by all accounts has been working pretty well thus far during the course of the season. I love the running game. The running game has been terrific. You're going to throw out some information here a little bit later on that's going to blow my mind. And this just in, the animal does have a mind, but that's another story for another day and time. But more or less, this is an offense that, quite frankly, has been playing very well.
Right. Darryl, your perspective of the quarterback situation. We had talked about it in previous podcasts off the air. But we had both agreed on, yes, both quarterbacks should play, but I think their roles should be reversed.
Yeah, I mean, look, Steve Spurrier hit on a very good point this week. He talked about how he's played both quarterbacks and he's not afraid to pull one out if one's not playing to, potential. So, I like the two quarterback system. I'm not opposed to it. I actually think it's a big help to us. I think it hurts other teams because they have to prepare for two, and I do like the two. Would I love to see Anthony Richardson come out on the field and start the game? Of course. But you know what? I've got a whole new take on this starting quarterback thing. It doesn't matter who starts the football game. Dan Mullen said it. It's who's going to finish the game. So who cares who takes the first snap? Who's out there on the last drive to win the football game? That's going to be the guy. That's who we should be cared about.
Right. In the second half of that game, the Gators really stepped up. When they put Anthony Richardson in the game and had 4 consecutive drives with touchdowns. Lucas, can you touch on what Anthony Richardson brought to the team in the second half?
If you watch the game, it was clear as day that Anthony Richardson just moved the offense way better.
Anthony Richardson has the it factor to outplay the people on the field. A problem I have with Anthony Richardson, and I may hurt some feelings, is he's not at football IQ yet, and he makes some bad reads. That if you look, you can see that he does make bad reads, but he makes the play look really good. So
right.
His IQ is not there yet.
Well, in other words, making a bad situation, turning a bad situation and making it look good. I think that I think that's what you're alluding to.
Yeah.
One of the things that some reports have come out and said that Anthony Richardson does not know the entire playbook. What freshman actually knows the entire playbook his first year? Come on now.
None of them will.
I mean, that's just like saying that Lucas Mann should be the head recruiter at the University of Florida. Come on.
Lucas Mann should be the head recruiter at the University of Florida.
Well, but that's another story here and there. But no, I mean, look, for a freshman quarterback, he's come out and just played outstanding during the course of the game. And in a lot of ways, guys, he reminds me a lot of another freshman quarterback who started off slow but quickly became a very good quarterback, Kerwin Bell. If you remember, I'll never forget. My first game I ever went to was against the Florida Gators and the Miami Hurricanes in Tampa's, the old Big Sombrero in Tampa Stadium. And if you recall, it was against Bernie Kosar and some guy named Kerwin Bell, who played his first game ever. He played a fantastic game. Didn't win the game because Miami came back and scored to win that in the very end. But nevertheless, Kerwin Bell played a terrific game. But nevertheless, Anthony Richardson has those same traits.
Yeah.
Okay?
He has the wow factor.
He's not perfect. Yeah.
No, he has the wow factor. He makes fans go, wow. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, look at the first game of the year when he literally leaped over a player with 2 guys. I mean, he's got the wow factor. He's going to be a special kid.
He's definitely going to be special, and he's kind of right there in the passing, right there with Emory. And Emory has played plenty enough snaps. And I believe I've seen the stat that Anthony Richardson has only thrown the ball like 30 times in all of the games attempted. So he hasn't had that many opportunities and only a handful of plays. But when he has these plays and these opportunities, he really makes the best of it and has he can turn a bad play into a great play. But I just see and Dan Mullen alluded to, or one of the questions that was asked to Dan Mullen in his press conference was, if the hot hand, if Anthony Richardson has a hot hand, are you going to go with him? And his answer to that was, we'll see how the game goes. But basically, that's what we did this past weekend, because in the second half, we brought Anthony Richardson in the game, and we had 4 drives that went for touchdowns, and that's something that you really need to see. So, yes, I do agree that both quarterbacks are going to play. They need to play, but certain plays and all of that need to be ran. And I understand that maybe Anthony Richardson don't really have the IQ of knowing the offense and the playbook, but I think he's, like you said, Darryl, he has that it factor, and he can make a play. And it might not even be the play design, but he makes it look, like that's the way it was supposed to go.
Hey, we got a lot of comments, and we don't see their names. So, Bobby, can you mention that, how they do that?
Yes. For those of y'all who are, dropping a comment, put your name in the comment, or go to the link that's in the description, that you click on that and you click to allow your name to show, to where we can, have your comments and your name there, so we will be able to address your comment by name.
One of the things that I would talk about and what really amazed me was not only the fact of him jumping over one of the guys early on, but you go to the LSU game. Um, he was in a tight
I'm not even
situation.
not even
But
that.
but
Sorry, but if you look at the USF game, if you guys remember it, his first play was a touchdown, was a 75-yard touchdown to Copeland. I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go back and right, and if you go back and look at that LSU game, Daryl, I think what to do before the end of the first half when he threw the Copeland touchdown, how he did that and the way he threw that ball down the field for that touchdown tells you that this is a quarterback that has the not only has the wow factor, he has the it factor as well. Because this is a
Exactly.
guy that's playing with he's playing above another level. The problem is he's a freshman. He doesn't understand the playbook completely. That should not be his fault whatsoever. You know, he is a freshman, but still, the way the guy's playing, it just makes me say, "Wow."
No, he's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Look, I watched the game too, and and
Oh
you could tell
gosh.
Dan finally. That's the LSU game was the first time where I think Dan actually let AR pretty much finish out the game for several drives. That's the first time we've seen that with AR this year. So I think there was kind of a decision there. Not saying that he will start, but I do think that he will pull Emery if he feels the need to do so.
Oh,
We
he doesn't
seen
have.
this two.
Go ahead.
We
I'm
seen
sorry.
this 2 years ago when Felipe Franks went down and Kyle Trask came in the game. We just seen how the offense looked a little better, looked a little more in sync, and just overall played better with Trask in the game. And I kind of get that same feel and vibe when AR came into the game in the second half versus LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Tend to agree with to agree with you. And what makes his two quarterback system even more interesting, guys, is the fact that there's no rivalry or no bitterness or no
No,
animosity between these guys.
I
They
like that.
they
If you look,
treat these guys as friends, and they're going to support each other, whether it's Emery on the sidelines and AR in the game, or
Hey,
AR is in the game and Emery's on the field. They're going to support each other
yeah.
because they're not only friends, but they have a common goal, and it's to make this team right here one of the tops in the nation. But you know,
Yeah. So
it just
I'm gonna touch.
it's awesome.
I'm gonna touch more on that because, like you said, with you see, they support each other, and in the locker room they're there for each other. If those guys in that, then the fan base needs to support whoever's out there, regardless.
Mhm.
So
Oh yeah.
the guys are supporting each other. We have to support them too, guys. I mean, I know sometimes we can rub our heads and beat our heads on the wall, but if that's the guy that's out there, we got to be pulling for him.
Mm-hmm. We all want
Yeah.
to see EJ succeed. We want to see AR succeed. But in order for them to succeed, we they need the support and a lot of fans. And I mentioned this on the last podcast, but a lot of and I understand losing creates a lot of questions and winning solves a lot of things. But sometimes you need these losses to make your team better. I'm not sure that having 2 losses in a season of games that you should have won is the right answer. But I mean, if you're going to come to terms with anything, sometimes learning the hard way is the best way to learn. Um, and I just feel like coming into this game with it being a rivalry game, and Todd Grantham has got to know that his job is on the line, so he's going to want to
I think he's
call
already
the
gone.
perfect game.
I think he's already gone regardless.
I would say that too, but I'm not going to get too far into all of that. I'm just taking it one game at a time. And I feel like this game for Todd Grantham is a highlight of his career. Well, what needs to be a highlight of his career, especially coming off of the performance against LSU with not being able to get off a block and not making any type of adjustment.
To give you guys an idea, I know we said on the last podcast, but that was the most yards since 19 friggin' 80 that UF has given up.
Yeah, and that's horrible. What we're giving us to what is his name? Price Davis or something like that. Obviously, Herschel Walker is a badass running back, and that record for him, that's a great record to have. But for this to happen from an LSU team that's completely depleted was something very unacceptable
And
to.
they fired their coach the next day after the game.
Yes, and that was another big thing that Dan Mullen needs to understand that I feel like Dan Mullen's loyalty is an issue for him. I know you want to you want everybody to have the best and be the best, but you got to play the right players and do the right things as a coach to get the team to be successful.
One of the things I'll tell you about here tonight that's all more than certain than ever that Dan Mullen is not going to retain Todd Grantham, because I'll tell you why. Number one, Grantham's contract expires at the end of the year, so they don't have to pay out any buyout or anything like that. But one thing also reasons why that they're not pulling the trigger right now is because I believe that Dan Mullen has a name in mind, and the only reason he's not pulling the trigger right now is because he's still with another team. What I think is going to happen is once the season ends, you'll see Grantham gone. My prediction: I think Charlie Strong will be the next defensive coordinator of the Florida Gators. That's I'm going to lay down the line right now.
That would be huge. I mean, go ahead, Darryl.
Yeah, Charlie Strong would be huge. They have a relationship with each other, and I believe he's coaching right now in Jacksonville.
Yes,
and I'm just going to tell you, right now he can probably make more money coaching as a defensive coordinator at the University of Florida. But I will tell you,
they would pay a reason.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what Grantham gets paid, but I'm sure they get paid more than
2.1.
Yeah, I'm sure he get paid more, and he has reins of his own players. I don't know. Charlie Strong could be a solution.
And
There's definitely a relationship.
He's a hell of a recruiter too.
He's a hell of a recruiter. My only skeptical issue with Charlie Strong coming back to Florida is how the situation was handled after Mullen or after Urban left. And they didn't give him the opportunity for a head coaching job. There may be something there.
You know what? You know what? I don't think he's worried about that. A lot of things have happened. He got dismissed at what Vanderbilt? Was he the head coach of Vanderbilt? No, Texas.
Texas.
And that situation went down. That's for Charlie Strong. That's long gone. Okay. I think for Strong,
that's good.
I think, in my opinion, he sees the potential for what can become a good defense in Florida. He has a great coach there in Dan Mullen. Why not pull the trigger?
He's got and the relationship is there too because they've coached together.
Oh, definitely.
So it's not like they have a relationship. I definitely could see it. He was one of the guys that I think that would come. Definitely an option. I would take him. I would take him in a heartbeat for sure. And then Grantham.
Your reflections on Manny Diaz, because I've heard a lot of conversations about that too. But what? And Bobby,
I think Diaz is out of Miami at the end of the year, and he's a heck of a defensive coordinator. He may not be a head coach, but he's a heck of a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of names that could possibly go out there to who we could get into the future. But as we look ahead to right now, we need to focus on this game that's right here, right now. And speaking of the defense, Georgia has the number one defense in the nation or in the SEC, but not only in the SEC, but in the nation as well. So some stats that I wrote down of total defense. Florida gives up 338 yards per 0.4 yards per game, which is 7th in the SEC, 38th nationally. Georgia gives up 208.3 yards per game, which is number one in the SEC, number one in the nation. The rushing defense, Florida is very good at running the ball. Rushing the fourth in the nation at 254.3 yards per game, but Georgia's defense holds teams to 63.6 yards per game. Darryl, is that a concern to you of this Georgia defense against our run game?
I don't think it is. I mean, kind of, yeah.
Sorry, I was on mute there. No, I mean, look, defensively, Georgia's sound. I do think that Florida is going to be the best test that Georgia has faced offensively with the run game and the running quarterbacks. A weakness that Georgia has not faced yet. Well, I can't say they haven't faced yet because they faced it with Arkansas, but that game was in Georgia, and
Mhm.
I still think our quarterbacks are better than that, and the running quarterback could be a factor against Georgia. I think we'll see a weakness there. We'll have to see. I do think that that's going to be a weakness for us to be able. We're going to have to be able to run the ball to create some open spaces.
So, along with running the ball, Darryl, we had talked about this, and we had seen it in the game last year. The running back wheel route was very effective in the game last year with Kyle Trask, and the running backs that we had then, and we got some really good, notable running backs this year. How effective do you think that will transition from last year to this year with the different quarterback, or how do you think that will ruffle the feathers of the Georgia defense?
I do think that the wheel route is something that we're going to have to try because it was something that Georgia struggled with last year. Will they be ready for it this year? I'm pretty sure they're going to practice it. But Malik Davis is out there. He caught quite a few of them passes on the outside last year.
I don't mean to cut
so
you
we got
off,
to give him a try.
Darryl. Dan Mullen's a hell of a schemer. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
he'll come up with something to.
Dan Mullen going to come up with a game plan. It may not be what we seen last year, but Dan Mullen's going to have a game plan. I promise you. He's found some type of weakness in that defense.
So we've talked about the offense and we've talked about the defense. I would say that Dan Mullen is very good at scheming. He's very good at a game plan. And then sometimes we have some critical mistakes from the players that we're not able to run the plays effectively. Or we may just shoot ourselves in the foot like we did in the Kentucky game, which really put ourselves behind the chain. Then we go to into LSU, and then like the questions we had about penalties. Then we go to LSU, and we don't even have a single penalty. So the inconsistency of this team is very in question. But Florida's defense, what kind of defenses are we going to see? From our defense, are we going to see the defense against Alabama in the second, third, and fourth quarter, or are we going to see the defense in the LSU game? So, Lucas, what do you think about our defense?
I think the defense can come ready to play, but I don't know. Like you said, if we see the LSU defense, we're screwed. But if we see the Alabama defense for the second, third, and fourth quarter, I think we have a shot.
One of the things about this Florida Gator defense that was a problem against Alabama, they had a very slow start in that game and couldn't get their heels together till the second quarter. And for this defense, if they're going to prove themselves, they have to come out from the very start and play the kind of game that they played against Alabama, which I think they will. I think that there is more to this game on Saturday afternoon than meets the eye, because I think that this team is ready for Georgia. Okay, I don't think that this is just another slouchy Gator team that we saw against LSU. I think that they have something to prove, and I think they're going to come out and play hard from the very beginning.
Yeah, when you look at the takeaways, the Georgia defense has taken the ball away 10 times this year. Florida defense has taken the ball away 6 times this year. When it comes to interceptions, Georgia has 8 interceptions on the year. Florida has 4 interceptions on the year. So when we look at
when you say, let me interrupt you if I can, please.
Go ahead.
When you reveal that stat, what are you saying? You're saying that the Gator defense has retrieved 4 interceptions?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's how many times they've picked off the ball in the games.
Right. I wasn't sure. Okay.
So when you look at the sacks, Georgia has 24 sacks. Florida's not far behind with 21 sacks. And the tackles for loss, Georgia has 38. Florida has 37 tackles for loss. So The defense on the defensive line, when you look at it on paper, it looks really close. So we will see what kind of pressure our defensive line can get. But Georgia's very well rounded, on their offensive line, their defensive line. So I say this game is going to come down to what it's going to be in the trenches.
I think it will. I think it will be closer than a lot of people think.
I think so too. So we're going to get into these score predictions, and Joe, I'm going to start with you. What do you think your prediction for this game is going to be?
I think I think that a lot of it's going to depend how well these guys are focused in this game. Obviously, I think we're looking at a 34-33 kind of ball game. I'm looking for a very close game. I don't think there's going to be a game that's going to be a blowout. Okay. My problem that I have is how well is this defense ready to respond from the embarrassment that they had against LSU? That's what I want to know. I want to know how well they're going to respond against LSU. If they respond well, I think we're looking at a 34-33, 42-41 kind of ball game. But then again, we're talking about a Georgia Bulldog defense that's number one in the nation. So to score 34 points on them would be great. So, but I think it's going to be a 1 or 2 point Florida Gator win either way. That's what I think.
Right. I mean, this game could be very, very interesting. Obviously, it's a rival game.
I got 24-17.
Yeah, Lucas. I was going to say, give me your cap of the game, your prediction.
I just think we're going to come out all pissed off because we have heard all this week about how we suck and Georgia's the best. How Georgia's the number one team. I think we're going to come out and play all pissed off. 24-17. 24-17. Good guys.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Both of you got Gators winning. I'm gonna keep that trend going. I say the Gators are gonna come out with the chip on their shoulder. They're gonna come out ready to play. Todd Grantham in that defense. They have a huge chip on their shoulder. Animal, as you had alluded to, with how are they going to respond from the LSU game? And I think that right there is a thorn in their side that they need to pull out, and heal from it. And they've had 2 weeks of practice to get ready for this game. So I'm going to say that Florida scores enough points, and Dan Mullen has an offensive, scheming game, and Florida scores in the 30 points. So I'm going to go Florida 37, and I'm going to go Georgia 31. So 37-31 Florida. Darryl, the floor is yours.
All right, guys. Look, this is the University of Georgia. They're probably going to go win a national championship this year. They've got the best defense.
Hold
on, listen. Yeah, I already told you I'm going to make a lot of people upset. But look, they're going to go win a national championship this year. They've got the number one defense. There's 46 points, guys, in 7 games. This is a huge team. I mean, these guys are top to bottom the best team in college football. But not in Jacksonville. Not in Jacksonville, baby. We're going to win it. Go Gators. We're going to win it. I believe we're going to win, and that's it. Go Gators. Look, my score.
I like that. I love the helmet. You know what? There you go. I love it.
I love it.
Look, 31-21 Florida. We're going to go in there. We're going to stop that number one team. It's going to be the only blemish on their schedule. But Georgia probably will still go win a national championship.
What means we can't make the 1980s?
Obviously, this game or the season for us making a New Year's Six bowl or going to the playoffs is obviously shot. But we can have a really satisfying moment by defeating Georgia and giving them a loss and hopefully putting a blemish on their season. because I think that Florida is their best chance to lose. Darryl and Drew said it's in Jacksonville. It's a rivalry game. It really don't need to be explained or anything. That's why we play this game. It's huge
That's
in,
why
in
we play
so
the
many
game.
You
ways.
played to win the game.
Yeah.
You played to win the game. I'll tell you what. One of the factors, and it's one thing that scares me about this Georgia team is the offensive line. They have a big boy on that offensive line, and Bobby, you know who I'm talking about on Georgia's offensive line. I don't know his name. I know I know he's a
He's a big
gargantuan of
boy.
an off. You know what I'm talking about. I don't know
Yeah.
his name, but man,
They bring him in on goal line situations.
but
Yeah, he's Georgia's offensive line is very good. They're very big, and that's what complements a lot of their run game with Zamir White and all the other running backs that they have. So I mean, it's going to be a game that Florida's defensive line is got to win in the trenches. The game's going to come down to who can stop the run because both teams are very great at running. So it's going to be, I think the pass is going to be out of the game. I think it's going to be more of a running dictated game. I just feel
Really?
like Florida needs to set the pace and have a fast start.
Hey,
If I have one question about one thing to Florida for this game is fast start and get off a block.
Hey, there's one thing that I didn't touch on Georgia's defensive side of things. The one thing that we're going to have to be ready for is Georgia is at the level where, if you'll notice, their defensive line will shift right before the ball is snapped. That's concerning. Florida has to be ready for that to make sure they don't get false start because they will shift and they'll change the whole blocking scheme on you at the last minute. So we got to be ready for that. Georgia, you'll see that. You'll see that Saturday. I promise you. Georgia's going to shift their whole defensive line right before the snaps.
Yeah, and that's huge because just right before the play is snapped, you think you got a beat on what's going to happen, and all of a sudden, their defensive line shifts, and that creates havoc on our offensive line. So they've like I said, in the trenches, this game has got to be won and dominated by Florida.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I mean, and this is what I go back to talking about responding to the challenge that is before you. I think there are a lot of Gator. I think there are a lot of Gator players who are very upset and very teed up by what's happened. They know that this is the game of the year that plays well. I know that this is a game for a lot of this is for recruiting too. Let's keep one thing in mind. There's a lot of recruits out there that are sitting on the bubble of where they want to go. So you're going to see a lot of recruits there in Florida and Georgia, and I think both teams want to make a very good impression on these recruits. So I think for the Gators, they have nothing to lose. I think they just should come out and just give it all they got and leave it all on the field in the very end. But who knows what's going to happen?
Right. There's absolutely no pressure on Florida in this game.
No, and that's
It's
what
all
makes
on
this
Georgia.
game. That's what makes this game even. You've hit one of the nails on the head. That Florida has no pressure whatsoever. Maybe Todd Grantham has a lot of pressure on him, but as far as the team as a whole, they have no pressure whatsoever. So why not come
Exactly.
out through it all? Let Anthony Richardson start, and let's see how he just eats away against this Georgia Bulldog defense.
Absolutely. So before we get off of here tonight, Lucas, is there anything you want to add?
It's cocked up already. It's by the time we wake up on Saturday, it'll be cocked up. It'll be time to kick Georgia's ass.
Yes, it will. Darryl, go ahead.
Yeah. So look, I want to add that look, I understand it's a tough season. You lose to Kentucky, you lose to LSU, but we're going to Jacksonville. I really want the fan base, even if they get down early, to support this team and get going. Chant, get the crowd going. This is the Florida Georgia game. We got to support these guys, and the Gators are going to come out with a victory in Jacksonville if we do that.
Animal, any last touches on tonight's podcast?
Two things I'll say. Again, we go back to respond. How well do you respond? How well do you respond to the challenge? That's gonna be a big thing. Before we get out of here, can I promote something for me real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, well, for those that are watching, I host a show called the Animal Football Insider every Thursday night at 7:30 on Facebook Live. You guys are welcome to join me. My main conversation involves around the Florida Gators. We also talk about Tampa Bay Buccaneers as well, and other things related to sports. In fact, I'll be going on in just a few minutes. And let me thank you for allowing me to come on tonight. And I would love to come on anytime you want to have me.
Pleasure.
Yes, thank you very much for coming on to the show. And as
I'll-
always, we
I'll
had a
jump
great
on with-
podcast.
I can jump on with you if you want me to.
Awesome. Thank you.
Before we get out of here tonight, you know how we end this show, you guys. If you ain't a Gator,
You must
You're
be
Gator
Gator Bait.
Bates.
there you go. You guys have a good night.